Alrighty, we are live, ladies and gentlemen. Hello and welcome. It is time for the main event. It is time for Division 1's championship here. It's round 8. It is time for the Bahrain Grand Prix as we are just in the early stages of short qualifying session. Haven't missed anything just yet, but Chapelelli about to start a flying lap. Hello and welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining into this stream. My name is Fallen Monkeys here in the commentator's booth, joined by Jamie back again in the booth. Now, Jamie, I know you were off getting water quickly. I just want to make sure, are you here with us? Are you back? How you doing today?
I'm back here, mate, and I'm very good, thank you, mate. How about you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. Happy to be here, and happy to have you back in the booth, and honestly happy to be back here watching some racing action. Excited to see what the drivers have in store, and I think upon popular request, we worked so well last week. I think we had to give ourselves another dance here in the booth. Chapelelli. Sorry, just watching Chapelelli on his first flying lap. A bit of a tank slapper on the exit of, I believe it's turn 3, right before the end of Sector 1.
Turn 4, mate.
Sorry?
Turn 4, mate.
Turn 4. Alright, that's what I thought, but, I'm counting. Oh, yes, 1, 2, 3. Yes, okay, so it is turn 4, not turn 3, but nonetheless, bit of a tank slapper from Chapelelli, but we'll see how much that'll affect his time. Probably already knows there's room for improvement, but, as far as Chapelelli's concerned, even an okay lap always seems to be a pretty good lap for him. He always seems to be able to find his way at the top of the leaderboards. And with a purple sector 2, seems to be on pace to be doing just that as the first driver on track with a flying lap. But as he's completing the lap, Jamie, I'm not too sure. What are you seeing on your end? Any insight that you can maybe bring to us here as Chapelelli crosses the line and sets a 1:26.2 as the benchmark time here?
I was just on board with Chapelelli, the same as you, mate, so sets a 26.2. You said that you made a mistake in turn 4, which you did. Just applied too much sort of with the rear end, he's just stepped out on us. Yeah, this track is going to be amazing to watch in the races because you've got like 3 DRS zones, which Chapelelli is on the second one, the third one down at turn 9 and 10, so it should be interesting to watch because it keeps everybody connected in the race and it's very hard to pull away with the slipstream, DRS, etc. So we'll find out what happens in the race as the early times start coming in with Nathan with a 25.8, and he got a podium last week, didn't he? Because I remember he started in 9th or 10th or just outside the top 10. He clawed his way back to 3rd place. I remember he pitted very early in the race, and the undercut is quite significant, powerful around here. So the strategy is soft, medium, or soft hard. I think it's soft or hard because the soft tyres are not really too good around here because they do wear out quite quickly in the race. So Nathan did an undercut.
I was just going to say, I have to disagree with you a little bit on the strategy. From what I've seen a lot of 2-stops, and that, a soft mediums is one of the ways to go. But if you are willing to extend the soft tires a little bit, and at least personally, I found it was very doable here on this track. I didn't think the tire wear was nearly as bad as what we've seen on some other tracks. A one-stop soft to mediums is definitely a possibility, but I think a lot of that might just depend on how the race plays out. Of course, like we mention every week, if a safety car comes out, whatever we talk about with ideal strategies in qualifying essentially gets thrown out the window. But I do think if things go smooth sailing as planned, no safety cars, I do think we could see somebody or some of the drivers opt for just a soft to mediums one-stop strategy. It worked in Division 2. Not to toot my own horn, but it worked for myself in Division 4, and I wouldn't be surprised to see it work here in Division 1 as well.
Yeah, that's true. I actually don't know in this game because there's loads of variable strategies, so you could be right with soft medium. I think it could be a 2-stop because I have seen a few people do a 2-stop and they actually went on to win the race in other leagues. So it's 1-stop, 2-stop, who knows? But Wout is about to cross the line now as he's going to go up into 8th place. He finished 5th last race because the safety car didn't quite work out for him, but he had a broken controller 3 days ago, and hopefully he's got that sorted out now because his pace should be back where it should be if he does have a brand new controller or he managed to fix it on his own. But Yeah, chance of a safety car is quite high around here because you can make his mistakes so easily. Let's think, turn 7 if you get on that exit curb, and if you take too much of it, you'll the rear end will go on you and most likely hit the wall or something like that. Turn 12, I believe, turn 11 or turn 12, I believe it is. I think, yeah, high possibilities of spinning off there, especially with the soft tyres. If they come to an end, you're going to be really careful around there. You might want to lift off around that corner later on in the race. What else is there? I say turn 3, sorry, but that's like you lose traction. You don't necessarily hit the wall unless you carry too much speed or just put the throttle down like Mazepin did at the start of the race.
Yeah, like the section between turn 2 and turn 3 is always a little bit tricky with getting the throttle down early. Of course, the curbs can play a little bit of a factor with that. Turn 4, like we saw with Schiaparelli on his first lap, just getting on the power too quickly can send the car for a spin. I mean, turn 7 or turn 8 that you were mentioning, even I think it's turn 9. It's the downhill left-hander right before the DRS zone that you just see time and time again, drivers trying to get on the power as quick as possible, but just losing the back end, getting a little bit too quick on the power. And of course, I think it was turn 11 or 12, it's the right-hander right before the end of Sector 2. You want to take a tight line on the inside, but you just so much as sniff that curb. You just lay a finger on it, and you're essentially a passenger on that car. You're being sent off for a spin and hoping for the best there. Other than that, though, it's a relatively straightforward track. Like you said, lots of overtaking opportunities with DRS and lots of long straights going into hard braking zones. And I think it's going to lead to a lot of battles pretty much everywhere on track over the course of the entirety of the race here in Division 1, especially down the start-finish straight, which is, in my opinion, and from what I've noticed, probably the most popular overtaking spot down that start-finish straight into turn 1.
Yep, I'm on board with Schiaparelli. He's on his second flying lap on a brand new set of softs. He's gone 2.5 tenths quicker. Obviously, he made that mistake 4 tenths quicker in the middle sector, so he's on a big flying lap here. He made that mistake at turn 4 the last lap, managed to correct it, and yeah, already 2.5 tenths in that first sector. Middle sector is looking very strong as well. Makes his way around the last corner now. Want to kiss the apex of the double right hand, then get back on the power as soon as the car straightened up. DRS is now enabled, and let's see if he gets to the top of the time sheets, which he does with a 25.7. Gained a bit more time in that last sector, so that is a very good lap from Schiaparelli. That mistake did not phase him at all. Let's see who can beat that.
Nope, not at all. So very good lap from Schiaparelli, just inching out the time that was set previously from Ariel Nathan as the fastest lap. And between these two drivers, the Alfa Romeo and the Alpine, the only two drivers to break into the sub 126s, breaking that 125 barrier. We'll see if any more can join them. I'm noticing just Jamie up in P3. He got a fantastic lap in with that 26.2. But with an invalidation here, it's not going too well for him on his second time around. I heard a little something from your end. I think you might have caught something that I missed. What did you see?
Talk about invalidations. Assassin was almost 2 tenths up on his flying lap. He validated on the last corner, like the very, very last corner on the straight. So that's where Alex Albon crashed back in 2020, I think it was. So yeah, validations are pretty common around here. You can validate turn 4, you can validate the exit at turn 13. You just got to be very careful. You want to use all of the track, but just within the limits. So Persassin there back in the pit lane. His teammate Jeroen Visser a bit out of shape coming out of turn 10, so he makes his way down the long stretch. It'll affect him a bit as he makes his way down turn 11, hard braking, uses the entry curb. Goes wide and he gets away with it. He just understeers off the track. He doesn't have the front end grip. And his middle sector, he's 1800s up as he uses the curb on the entry. This is where people can invalidate too. You just want to take it as wide as you can without exceeding the track limits now. Making our way down to the final corner, making a 100 beat board, kiss the apex on the right hand side. And this is where Persassi validated. Jeroen Visser doesn't. DRS wide open for him. Let's see where he can go. It's going to be a few hundreds up. He's at 8th place on a time with a 26.3 ahead of his teammates. So yeah, I can see a lot of improvements from Jeroen Visser because he did get out of shape when it's through the corners in terms of traction. So he's got a bit of traction issues here. with the wheel as well, because it is a pad track, as people would say, with better traction coming out of there.
Yep. But all the while, I mean, once that lap was done, I noticed Calvin jumped up to P3 with his lap breaking into the sub 126s with a 125.9. I very much so quickly also jumped back on board with Ariel Nathan as he's on a flying lap, and we'll see if he can maybe find that tenth of a second, retake that provisional pole position as he comes around the final corner, opens up DRS, crosses the line, and he does
Mega
go
time.
faster, 0.2 faster exactly than his previous time, and that 25.6 is the new provisional pole position time. So it really seems like between Nathan and Chapelelli, these two drivers just exchanging blows, exchanging that pole position. It seems almost like it's gonna be a matter of which one of the two is going to be the last one to set a lap, and that's assuming the likes of Wouter, Passassin, Ryan Malta that we've seen. Isaac Kush was even yet to set a lap time here in this qualifying session. That's assuming they don't find their pace and start getting involved with that as well. Wouter's crossing the line now, or just about, opens up DRS. Let's see if he can improve. It's a 26.2 for Wouter. Puts him up to P5, but a little off the pace compared to the front runners that we've seen here in qualifying, with now about 5 minutes to go in the session.
Blimey, it's gone very quick. It's 5 minutes already. I remember the start of the session. Before Wouter crossed the line, I was on board with Jamie Ward. He was improving starting the first and middle sector, but he abandoned his lap, came back straight to the pit lane as Wouter has. Doesn't matter, he's on a lap anyway, so what good positions for both Ferraris down in P3 and P5. So later stage qualifying, 4 minutes left to go. They're going to use their last set of the soft compound tyres, so just be prepared for the final stages of qualifying, and any more to bring a surprise. Most likely, I think pole position might go to Nathan or Chapelain. It depends what Calvin can do as well. He's on 25.9, 2 tenths, 3 tenths away from Chapelain and Nathan, so let's see if he can find the time and get better than a 25.6, but those are very good lap times indeed around this track. Let's see who else could improve at the top. So 4 drivers haven't set a lap time. Vexter P17, he's on an out lap in the McLaren, he's about to start one. He's got Aston Martin of Isa Kush, who finished P2 last week in the Aston Martin, and Krishna as well, who has to set a lap time. So I wonder if they use guys down there validated. Jay retired in the pit lane. I'm not sure if he's got a qualifying ban. I'm not.
Yes, he does. Yeah. So
second in a row.
Yeah,
okay.
So it was all part of the incident report post race of the Russian Grand Prix, where he actually got 2 qualifying bans in a row. So served the first one last weekend in Baku, and is serving the second qualifying ban here this weekend in Bahrain. So we should see Jair, assuming all goes well, start qualifying again as of next week. But of course, here in Bahrain, still needing to serve that qualifying ban, will still be starting from the back of the field. But in all things considered, a qualifying ban here in Bahrain isn't nearly as painful, I guess I could say, as what he had to deal with last week, trying to navigate the streets of Baku. Bahrain, as you can see, it's a much more open track, much more opportunity to overtake, and much more opportunity to get aggressive on drivers if you're going to try to go for a move. So I think Jair might have a little bit of an easier time working his way up the field this week, as much as it didn't really stop him all that much last week either.
Here comes Eklund in the AlphaTauri then. He's down in P12 along with his teammate Car Mentalist. Eklund's P10, so he lost a bit of time in that middle sector but gained a few hundreds back in that last sector, so he's popped himself in the top 10 now.
And there goes Isaac Kush.
Aston Martin, Isaac Kush P2. That's a very good lap time indeed from Isaac Kush. I think he got a podium last week, didn't he? Or was it the other Aston Martin? I think it was Isaac.
It was one or the other. I know they were both close, as both Aston Martins always end up being. Sorry, did you find the answer?
Yeah, it was Isaac Kush, because I think Silla started at the back and he made his way up into P2, didn't he? P7,
yes.
Sorry, Silla.
Yeah, there is. I think so. Actually, now that you're jostling my memory a little bit, that does sound about right. And I mean, it wouldn't be a surprise seeing Isaac Kush on the podium. He's really he's really gotten to know that podium very well. Very, very fast driver, and over the course of the last season or two, has really nailed down not just the speed but the consistency in that car, and it's really showing here over the course of season 5 with the performances, with the qualifying efforts that we've seen. Now I was riding on board with Chapelelli, thought he was running a lap, but
Me too, mate.
An invalidation, unfortunately, for Chapelelli, so not going to count too much. Maybe for the better, as it looked like he was getting ready to approach what looked to be a lot of traffic on track. Looks to be a Haas, a Ferrari, a Red Bull, an Alpine, all trying to get sorted out down that back straight to figure out who wants to go when for what very well could be their final flying laps here, and something we've seen time and time again. Thankfully, it seems like this week it's ending relatively well, all considered, because we've seen cases like this in the past, drivers just not being able to get out of the way in time, but it looks like it's all been sorted here, and they're all single file, starting what could be very well their final flying laps of the session here, and I think it's Ryan Malta who's leading the charge of this group of cars here.
Yeah, there's a lot of cars in that first section. We've got 2 Hasses in front, Jamie 1 and Ryan Malta. So, yeah, quite a lot of traffic indeed. There's Walter behind us in the Ferrari. He's going to get caught up if he catches up to these two. They've not spaced themselves out, really, have they, Eric? And
no.
Valviori's there too. So they're all quite together. The turbulent air can affect them. I think there's a McLaren there too, which is Vex Vexter, the Alfa Romeo of Chapelele is there as well, started his last flying lap. As you said, he validated it, so yeah, quite a lot of traffic as Vex Vesta gets a horrible exit. Tinkan, his teammates, got up into P5, managed to get a bit of space. Red Bull's crossed the line to, I didn't see him improve anywhere.
That was a rotation that is, well, up at the 18th now with the 26.8. Skilla, or not necessarily, from what we've seen from Skilla, not the best of times, only 14th. Carmentalist out of the session. I think you saw that there. Or was that Vex the Vexter?
Yeah, Vex the Vexter. He spun coming out of turn 13. Chapelele was right up his rear. Chapelele gets a horrible exit, dives into the pits because he was stuck behind Vex Vexter. So Walter up into P4. What about Nathan? Where is he? He's invalidated his lap, but he's on pole position.
Yeah, so he's on pole position. Calvin just crossed the line. It's a 25.869. That's his best time. I don't think he improved in that case. Remains in 4th. And with Chapelele diving into the pits, unless Passassin, who's I really don't think he's on a lap, given that he was off exploring near the barriers there, letting some other cars through. I think Nathan, even with the invalidation, was able to do just enough to hang on and solidify that pole position, with Chapelele not getting a lap. Izad Kush going a little bit off the, I'll call it off the grain, running a lap a little bit earlier compared to the rest of the field. And I mean, the likes of Wouter, the 2 Haas cars, maybe getting caught up in that turbulent air through sector 2, and maybe not getting the that ideal lap time. So yeah, Passassin diving into the pits, and yeah, just like that, it is going to do it here for qualifying. Nathan just has to dive into the pits, get that car towed in, and we'll be able to move on to the race here. But my goodness, between P1 and P2, about, what is that, 5 100ths of a second, 6 100ths of a second separating the top 2, and less than a 10th of a second separating the top 3 here in the timing sheet. So that's going to make things really, really good, really exciting here for the start of the race. And of course the top 6, essentially top 7, top 8, all essentially right around that 126 flat or faster from what I was able to see there with the past times.
Yep, exactly. Isa Kush doing a fantastic job again. He's 3rd in the championship. He's only 1 point behind Car Mentalist, and Car Mentalist is outside the top 10, so his championship rivals further down the grid than he wants to be. Silla, where is he? He was P15, so that's not a good time from him at all. But you know, I think his long pace, his race pace, is much better, as evidently proved back in Baku when he secured that P7. So Wagner in P11 will have the choice to start on the medium tyres if he wants to in that prime 11 position. I'd rather be P11 than P9 or P10. Who else is surprising down there? Yeah. So good job to Nathan again. They're very close to the top. Chapelet in P3 after he got hold up on his flying lap. I'm surprised, Monkeys, about that last part of qualifying because they didn't space themselves out really. I think they all had the same idea about going out very late, but Chapelet validating that his first lap on his last set of tyres that cost him dearly because he got caught up in all that traffic, and all that traffic were on their out lap anyway, so they're not going to really back off and let him go because they want to get on with their flying lap and not lose too much temperature in the tyres. Ryan Malta had the big advantage being in front of that train, dragging along his teammate, so Jamie getting that slipstream. Jamie out-qualified him, he's in P6, Ryan Malta's in P7, so yeah, both Hasses looking really good too. And let's see what this race does then. We've got 27 laps of the Bahrain Grand Prix, I believe. It's 27?
29 actually is the lap count. So we got 2 extra laps there just just in case we didn't have enough there. But 29 laps is going to be the lap counter here. I'm sure they're going to be action packed. And I mean, we were talking a little bit about the holdup, and I feel like a lot of that was just drivers having that idea in their head, but when they got to the point where they all started bunching up, I think they all realized, oh no, I got to get moving on or else I'm not going to get my lap in. Because, of course, they timed it close, but I think they all timed it a little bit too close to where they just didn't have enough time left in qualifying to allow for that separation. So they just had to go deal with the slipstream and just hope that the dirty air through the S's of I think it's turns 5, 6, 7, and 8 wouldn't be too affected, and that the slipstream, the getting towed down the long straights was enough to counteract that. It worked out for some, but for some others, maybe not so much. Like we saw, Chapelet probably could have improved, but didn't quite get to. And yeah, but if I'm looking here, just as we're on the formation lap, we saw the top 10 all got their time set on the soft tires, a bit of the go-to for qualifying as we'd expect. But of course, looking at P11 all the way down, they all chose to start on the medium tires, except for Eklund, who decided that he wanted to be on the soft tires as well from P13. So I would expect Eklund to maybe have a bit of a jump off the start of the grid in the first few laps compared to other drivers around him, but very much so might be an earlier pit stop for him, or could fall off the pace a little bit sooner compared to the likes of Jerome, Wagner, Feral Fury, Skilla that are all around them on those medium tires.
Yep, exactly. Eklund has to get past those two in front of him who are on the mediums, and he'll be joining that train in the top 10. Interesting start though. Will Issa Kush get a good start off the line? Will he go down in the inside of Nathan, or will Nathan get a good getaway from the line, lead them into turn 1 and just settle into a rhythm? But we'll see a lot of DRS trades for we'll see like 2 or 3 groups of all together in this DRS trade. It's not difficult to overtake, but at the same time you don't really want to go for it all the time because obviously you want to save up your ERS, you want to get the undercut of people as well, especially the top 10. We're all looking for that undercut who will go in the pits first, because you might see a massive DRS train. If one person goes for the undercut, it could jump a whole lot of cars. Yeah, we'll see. Will safety cars play into this as well? How early? Somebody spun at the back there. That was a red, but I think that was rotation. Will somebody cause safety car early on in the race that'll affect the soft runners, or will it go on later in the race where the medium runners might benefit from it too?
Yep, we'll take a look. I think our questions will be answered soon enough as the drivers are taking their final positions here on the grid, just awaiting for a rotation to take that slot there after getting the final little bit of heat in his tires. And we are just about set to go. If I can only get a view of the 5 red lights. There we go, up to 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 red lights. And the lights are off and we are racing here in Bahrain as it looks to be a good start from everybody heading down towards turn 1. I'm seeing an AlphaTauri fighting for position in the midfield, but Ariel Nathan able to hang on to the lead through into turn 1. A little bit of jostling of positions. Calvin and Mutter going alongside. Chapelelli getting involved as he wants to try to get past on the outside of Izat Kush near the front. We'll see if he can go for it. Woter following suit. There's a little bit of contact there between Izat and Chapelelli, but nothing broken, nothing damaged. They get to continue onwards. But at least as far as the front is concerned, everybody's made it through relatively cleanly. But that looks to be Wagner in the back, who had a moment somewhere along the way as he's already fallen away from the field.
Started down in P11, did Wagner something, where is he? He spawned the exit at turn 4, so that's a shame for him. He could have been in a really good position down at P11, but that privilege belongs to Jeroen Visser now. Where's Eklund? He's moved up to P10, so P30 to P10 on those soft car ties. He joins the top 10 on the softs. Old School is not in the session, so that's why he's dropped down. Assassin goes around the outside of Ryan Moulton, and here comes Tinkan. Tinkan will get a warning for that because he exceeded track limits. Trying to go around the outside of Ryan Moulton. Ryan Moulton got swamped there at the start of the race because he had Assassin, he had Tinkan and Eklund all over him. And yeah, as we move on to lap 2 of this race, looks like Ryan Moulton's under a bit of pressure as Tinkan is all over the back of him. Good battle in between Isaac Kush and Chapelin. I didn't quite see the contact between the two at the start of the race, but at least they made it through safely. And here comes Tinkan on Ryan Moulton. When you get it done, it's turn 1 or Ryan Moulton fights it around the outside. They both break late, make the corner, and Tinkan makes the move. Ryan Moulton is out of shape coming out there because he's got Eklund all over the back of him, got put offline, so Eklund will get a better exit coming out there unless they both use their ERS. Down the inside goes Eklund, that's about 4 positions he made up. Ryan Moulton sticks it around the outside trying to fight back. Whoa, they go side by side now, but one of them will have to yield. Bit of contact made there. Ryan Moulton trying to go around the outside as the inside line, more contact's been made, and they both go slightly off the track. Eklund sends it down the inside, but Ryan Moulton will get the switch back. And yeah, a bit of wheel spin from Ryan Moulton there, just to get a good exit coming out there. So that position belongs to Eklund, but they're both fighting really hard in the top 10 on lap 2 already. So yeah, a bit of action there.
Yep, a great fight between Eklund and Ryan Moulton. They're lasting about a half a lap or so, and honestly, it looked like it could just keep going on for even down this back straight. I thought Ryan Moulton was going to start coming back, but I think maybe managing the tires, managing a little bit here, taking a slight retreat, and he's going to come back maybe in about a lap or two's time, maybe with DRS down the start-finish straight. But I feel like, as I was rambling, I think, did you see something that I might have missed here on track, or were you just watching?
Issa Kush made a mistake in turn 12. He got a bit of squirrely coming out of there, wobbling a bit at the back rear end, but he managed to save it, and he's lost a bit of time, so he's outside the 1 second DRS range. Chapelelli is tucked in nicely now because they don't have the advantage, Issa Kush, of DRS ahead of him, and I remember correctly, these two are battling as well at the Baku Grand Prix. And Nathan then, he finished P3. Can he do 2 places better and try and get P1? Early stages of the race, obviously, so we'll have to find out. Issa Kush is back in DRS range now. If he stays there, he can protect himself from Chapelele. All within 1 second of each other, so yeah.
Yeah, we'll see how it plays out. You're watching Chapelelli now as he's chasing down Isaac Kush. He's got the 2 Ferraris for company as well. That's Wouter and Calvin. But Calvin is the lead Ferrari. I wasn't expecting that at first, but I mean, Calvin's showing a lot of pace here through qualifying, here in these still early stages of the race, here around Bahrain in that Ferrari, hanging on to that P4. But I think the 2 Ferraris probably going to be working as a unit here, trying to get ahead. Maybe both see if they can get ahead of Chapelelli. But I mean, it looks like we're switching a bit more towards I wouldn't say the tire management section of the race, but a bit more of the you're racing a bit more deltas. You are racing drivers on the track, but no, we're not in that point of the aggressive moves at this point. Of course, the DRS train might not be helping. Gonna change very quickly now. Chapelelli goes up very quickly and very easily up into second, closes up a little bit on Nathan, but now with nobody else but Nathan ahead, I think this is when Chapelelli turns on the jets, turns on that 9th gear, and really starts pushing the likes of which we've seen in the past in very just prime Schiaparelli form here. We'll keep an eye out on that as the laps play out. Meanwhile, Carmentalis going for a move down the inside of Feral Fury as they're battling it out for P13. Still a little bit alongside, but the AlphaTauri driver is able to comfortably get himself ahead of Feral Fury to go up into P13. Feral Fury, meanwhile, falls down to 14th, but still still very close behind Carmentalis. Window of opportunity definitely still there to fight back for that position.
Bold move from Carmentalis. I watched that fight from turn 1. Feral Fury was behind Scylla. Carmentalis sent it down the inside. Clean move from him. They went side by side, and obviously we saw that battle unfold towards turn 4. So that's a really good move from there. Carmentalis who's second in the championship, third in the championship, or second I think actually. So yellow flag. So that's Schiaparelli.
And he's out of the Grand Prix is Schiaparelli, and that's going to bring out a safety car. And that goes back, I think, a little bit more to our talking points of just keeping your nose clean, and I guess in a way those track limits, because that looks to possibly be maybe just losing the back end on the exit of what is that, turn 12 or turn 13. But I mean, enough about that, because the floodgates are opening now for pit stops. And I don't think it's just the top 10 that are taking pit stops. I think some maybe on the medium tires are going to use that opportunity to just get a fresh set of boots on as well. But for now, from P1 to P7, they're staying out on the mediums. But everybody else, I'm seeing a mix of mediums and hard tires from the rest of the field here. Interesting.
That's very interesting. Yep, that's very interesting, mate. So we've got brand new medium runners: Issa Kush, Jamie Wan, Eklund, and Old School, but he's not in the session anyways. But Wagner is able to catch up down there in P19. He'll pit for a brand new set of whatever tires he wants to go. So Calvin on the hards, Passassin on the hards, Tin Can on the hards. Well, yeah, so mixture strategies like you said. So the medium runners will definitely have to come in the pits again, because those tyres won't make it to the end. So what they'll do in this strategy towards the middle part of the race, they'll push as hard as they can, then pit again for a brand new set of mediums or softs, depends how long they can take those medium tyres for, and try and make up the time loss to try and see what they can do towards the end of the race. So it's going to be interesting. But yeah, Schiaparelli again for the second week in a row has crashed again, and that's just a shame, because we know the man has really good pace. He was closing in on Nathan there, but sadly I think he was a bit too aggressive, got trigger happy on the throttle, lost the car to 13, and yeah, he's caused a safety car. Medium runners could be happy about that. I'm talking about the top 7, because obviously now they're in a good position and they're going to go for the 1-star from mediums to hards. Those guys in the top 7 could play into their hands later in the race, who knows. But those guys also doing a 2-stop on the brand new medium tyres. So we'll see, because we've got mixture positions now. The grid is mixed up, and let's see how it happens then. I think Nathan, because Issa Kush is on the medium compound tyres, Nathan might have a few issues here, because obviously Isha on the softer compound tyre compared to the hards, and they'll warm up quickly and much more better than the hards. So if he can make a move straight away in the race, it could play dividends towards the at the end of the race when he has to pit again.
Yeah, and I think it is going to be key for Nathan to try to get past at least a couple of these runners on the slightly more worn medium tires ahead of him, to try to help himself with that gap with himself and Izat Kush, like you were mentioning, Izat on the medium tires. But I think at least as far as the hard tire runners are concerned, I feel they're not going to take another pit stop unless we see another late safety car, and it becomes a bit more beneficial to that they can just put on a set of soft tires and go to the end. But I think other than that, those hard tire runners are going to stay out. The medium tire runners, I do feel they're probably going to be having to take another pit stop. They might pit around lap, let's say 20 to 22, I would think, and go for a set of soft tires and just push the soft tires to the end of the race. That's a little bit more of what I'm thinking. I think I'm still a firm believer that the tire wear here is decent enough that you can extend a little bit further with those tires. But I think we'll see how it all plays out, and we'll have to see how the top 7 are going to handle the rest of the field behind them being on the slightly fresher tires. And it is something that the 5-lap difference doesn't look like much now, but I have seen in the past that these medium tires, once they fall off that first initial cliff, that first point of peak performance, I think that's when we're really going to start seeing a lot of jostling for positions, and a lot of these top 7 maybe start moving down the order relatively quickly, especially with the nature of the race as well, with the DRS trains as we so call them here. But we're going back to green flag racing, so a little bit of a short safety car here as the grid got bunched up. You can see Jerome getting that last little bit of heat in his medium tires, giving tons of room for the safety car to get into the pit lane, so he can just go when he's ready to go. And I think possibly on the exit of the final corner, getting himself ready to go is that Mercedes, and there we go on the still waiting a little bit. I think now he's finally getting going. A little bit of a little half step delay from Jerome, it seemed, before truly hitting the power, and that's opening possibly for Carmentalist to head down the outside of Skilla. It looks like behind that was Krishna getting into a battle with Feral Fury as they're side by side here, but Feral is able to hang on. Nathan crucially getting ahead of rotation quickly, but he's at Kush now alongside of the Red Bull driver. Brakes much later than the Red Bull, at least initially, but and he does get the overtake done. Actually, his rotation now just like that gets involved with a fight with Calvin, but Nathan and Nizak Kush both working their way up the grid order. But next up is Vex the Vexer that they're gonna have to get past. It's going to be a little bit easier said than done, as now Jamie 1 gets ahead of rotation. There goes Nathan on the outside of Vex the Vexer. Ooh, nearly a drift around that corner. Don't see that too often, but he still makes it work. Finds the traction and gets ahead, albeit it looked nice.
Legal overtake. I think it's a legal overtake because Nathan just backed off there. Yes, it is an illegal overtake. I thought so. Nathan, that's crucial for the race. He's been pushed again. He's got off the track. Whoa, went slightly off the track at turn 10. And he's still fighting as the McLaren of Vexter's going to go down. He is up, but Nathan has the outside line. That is crucial for Nathan. He didn't want that whatsoever to get stuck behind the McLaren again. And Calvin and Jamie 1 will be making their way shortly through. Jamie 1 on those medium compound tyres, so he'll be quick towards the stage of the race. But yeah, Vexter missed a gear there, and that's allowed. He's missing his gear shifts. Calvin and the Haas. Yeah, Jamie 1 is on side by side now. He's shifting really, really late. He's not hitting the gears properly. As look at the McLaren, other McLaren Tinker, as Jamie 1 goes down the inside, squeezes the McLaren of Vexter. Nice move there from Jamie. And yeah. Now Asa Kush is behind Krishna.
And that's there's an Alpine that's fallen off. That's Jer, who now has no front wing, brought out a yellow flag. I don't think we're gonna see much of a safety car, but rotation Ryan Malta, and that's the next corner. So we'll stick on board with Jer here just to see. There's those two cars. You gotta think they came together at some point. But I was too busy trying to see who the Alpine was that turned out to be Jer. I completely missed the crash between rotation and Ryan Malta.
Yeah, me too, mate. I was on board with Jer too. So sadly, rotation and Ryan Malta is out of the race. So they must have gone side by side surely, because Ryan Malta on the fresher tyres compared to rotation. Side by side, one of them probably lost traction, and yeah, they both careered into the wall. Sadly for them. Yeah, so let's see what the medium runners will do. I'm talking about the top 5 here, the ones who started on the same tyres at the start of the race. So will they go to the pits, put up brand new set of hard tyres on and go to the end? Who knows, but it's going to be interesting to see what will happen. So those were very eventful laps there, because we saw so much going on between Nathan, Isa Kush and Vexter, because I just noticed, I don't know if you're on board with Vexter, but he just kept missing his gear changes. Did you see? Giroud is on a brand new set of mediums, so that's definitely a two-stop strategy. Medium, soft, I think that's he's taken. What do others do? Will they go on a brand new set of hards? Car Mentalist is on a brand new set of hards. Silla on a soft compound tyre, so he's definitely doing a two-stop. A very aggressive middle stint there from Silla. Let's see what he can do. He'll be very, very quick towards the start of this race, or start of the second safety car. Who else? Medium, so I think that'll be a two-stop for them as well, possibly. 20 laps, 19 laps, can they take those two meters to the end? 19 laps, I think that's a bit too much of a stretch, don't you?
I mean, it's definitely doable here. It can be a little bit of a stretch, especially if you're stuck battling, like I'm sure we're gonna see a lot of these drivers do. At that point, of course, when you're battling, there's a lot more tire wear being forced compared to if you just have your gap and you're just running, you know, you're racing a delta essentially. Then you can sort of focus a little bit on that tire management. But I wouldn't think it's crazy to go to the end. But what's surprising me a little bit, and where I think there's going to be another pit stop, is that a lot of those drivers who initially went into the pits, they were on a set of medium tires initially, so they haven't really pit for that second compound. So I think just given the situation with the safety car, they were close enough to their initial window for a two stop. I think a lot of them decided they'll just put on a second set of medium tires and ride those out a little bit, and then like you were mentioning, Jamie, they'll just pit for a set of softs. Maybe I'm still gonna shoot with my lap, let's say laps 20 to 22, to put on a set of soft tires and go to the end of the Grand Prix with that. But I think this safety car and how the top seven that stayed out reacted, I think that's essentially committing them to a two-stop strategy here, given most of them seem to have gone from mediums onto just a brand new set of medium tires here.
We'll see what the better strategy is. We've got loads of different strategies going on at the moment. We've got Issa Kush on the mediums, Calvin on the hards, Jamie back up into third place. So Nathan and Wilds have pitted again, and they've gone on the medium compound tyres. I believe they're on the hards, so I think they're going to take the mediums to the end, because yeah, if they pit again, they're going to lose a lot of time to Isha, Calvin, and all of them. So yeah, Stiller definitely going to pit again. We know that for sure, because he can't take those soft tyres at the end. Who else we got there? Jeroen Visser, obviously he pitted for a brand new set of mediums, but he's doing a two-stop because he's done medium, so he has to pit again. Krishna also has to pit again, medium, soft. So, and who else is there? Foul Fury too, medium. So those three drivers definitely have to pit again, and so does Silla, so I count that four. But who else? Car Mentalist is dropping down. Car Mentalist is spun.
Yeah, it looks like it. He's facing the wrong way on track, and it looks like, I mean, it looks like that the exit at turn 4. There's got to be something there. Maybe the cleanup crew wasn't quite done after the incident with Rotation and Ryan Malta, because it looks like Carmentalist right around that same spot went for a little bit of a spin under safety car. Now, I mean, Old School Cool and Jerome getting involved a little bit here with a little bit of switch of positions. I think that's just the AI drone wanting to get ahead, but can't quite get ahead of the AI under that safety car. But you can see, I think a lot of the grid is just itching to go back to green flag racing. They want to go. They want to be able to go full speed. Honestly, I'm hoping the safety car comes in at the end of this lap so we can get back to racing and honestly get back to the great action we had so far. If it's anything like the previous safety car restart, I think we're going to be in for a lot of good battles here. But it looks like it is coming in. Izzat Kush leading the way, taking even more time than what Jerome did in getting that final little bit of heat on those tires before he starts up the run into the final corner and down the start-finish straight. So just getting himself set up, ready to go here. You can see all the cars getting that last little bit of temperature, that last little bit of heat. But I think now coming around the final corner, another little half step there. And now he goes. Calvin getting a terrible restart there. I think just having the let up just a tiny little bit. And that gave Izzat Kush a bit of a gap. There goes a Williams. That was Wagner, I think, trying to get a tiny little bit more heat down the start finish straight. But Vex the Vexter and Jamie and going alongside into turn 1. There might have been a little bit of contact between the two of them, but it looks like there's a lot of battles going on. Oh, hang on, was that too wide here between Drone and Wagner? You can see Eklund getting ahead of Vex the Vexter going into turn 4. Jerome ahead of Wagner now. Nathan once again making moves, getting ahead of Old School, and Wouter and Krishna going nearly alongside, but Wouter getting ahead. Krishna not taking a good line through that S section there, and it looks like it's all just chaos here in the midfield as they're heading towards the downhill. Let's just jump on board with Skilla just to watch it all unfold. Skilla got ahead of Vex the Vexter, trying to get ahead of Wagner, and I think he will get the overtake done going into the braking zone. Nathan now getting ahead of Vex the Vexter, as yes, Skilla does get ahead of Wagner, and Nathan following right along suit. Oh, but Wagner closing the door there a little bit. He clipped the curb, and that's Wagner into the wall, I think. And is that did he take any damage here? I don't know.
I think he didn't hit the wall, actually. I think he just spun the car.
Oh, just spun it and saved it, thankfully. And while that was oh my goodness. So Passassin got ahead of Vex the Vexter, and riding on board with Vex the Vexter, I just watched a piece of front wing absolutely start flying. He's going to dive into the pits. XL Tin Can and Carmental is going side by side now. And I think, oh no, it's XL and Jer going alongside. Carmentalist, though, wants to get involved here, trying a little switchback move, but XL Tin Can putting that car in just the right spot to keep Carmentalist behind him.
First penalty goes towards Galvin. He's picked up a 3-second time penalty. It all happened at the safety car restart. Walter and Foul Fury trying to go side by side, but Foul Fury has the optimum racing line. He stays ahead of Walter. Walter smartly backs out of it because he knows he don't want to make it too wide through there, just in case any contact. Carmentalist, look at that. That's Jay. He's just pushed him off right off the track. Left him nose, but there's Tin Can. Goes through both of them, so 2 for 1 for Tin Can as they're still fighting down towards turn 10. And Tin Can
Tin Can going very deep, trying to save that car. Comes back on track and makes contact with that looked to be what was that, Old School, I think, that the Williams that just had to get out of the way. But thankfully there was nothing more than that. But Jer and Carmentalist, through all that, Jer is able to keep ahead of Carmentalist, but it looks like this battle is nowhere near done as Carmentalist back down the inside here, and it looks like it's going to be a drag race into the final corner. There's definitely the elbows out between these two drivers. As you can see, they're touching wheels, making contact. Jer having to go a little bit deep around the final corner this time around, and is going to have to take a pit stop here after only putting those medium tires on, having them on for 4 laps, switching to something a little bit different, and maybe a wing change in the process as well.
So Isa Kush leads the race there, 1.7 second gap over Calvin, so he's in a good position because there's a DRS tray behind Calvin. He's got Jamie Warren, we've got Eklund, we've got Jerome, we've got Silla on those soft compound tyres. Nathan was right behind Silla into turn 1, but Silla looks like he's back on form. He's behind Jerome.
Oh, and there goes Passassin! In the wall, broken front wing for Passassin. Apologies for cutting you off there, but he was side by side with Feral Fury, trying to go for an overtake through the I'll call them the S's in Sector 2. Unfortunately, didn't work out for him. Lost control of the car, and that's no front wing on the on that Mercedes from Passassin, as it's going to be a long ways to the pit stop, and a bit of a lengthy pit stop at that as well. But now,
indeed.
Yeah, but looking, just quickly jumping back here, looking at the gaps, you can see, I see Skilla on the softs trying to make some moves, trying to move up the field here, take advantage of the grip on those soft tires, right behind your own, as nearly runs into the back of him there. But riding on board, using up some battery here, will have DRS, but crucially,
Jamie.
Oh, Jamie on Calvin, as just Calvin sort of sitting duck here, and it just goes to show the power of DRS down that start-finish straight, and just generally here in at Bahrain circuit. But good drive from Jamie so far, up into second, and I mean, if he can keep his nose clean, that can be possibly a good result here for the Haas driver, and the last remaining Haas driver in this race at that.
Indeed. So at the safety car restart, it was Eklund and Vex Vexter who were going side by side. Calvin's all over the place. He's wobbling. He's a snap of oversteer in those corners, turn 5 and turn 6 and turn 7 there. He's absolutely struggling on those hard compound tyres. I was going to say Vex Vexter hit the back of Calvin because Eklund and Vex Vexter were going side by side. And yeah, it was actually Vex Vexter who actually hit the back of Calvin, so I'm not sure if he's got any rear wing damage, if that's what you do in the league. Do you do So they reduced
Yeah, I
damage.
believe so. I think we do have some reduced damage. It's that will involve the side pods, the rear wing. Get that realism, and of course makes drivers just maybe think a little bit more, knowing that there's that extra little bit of damage at stake here. Um, uh,
Ah,
but I'm looking at, I'm once again back to Skilla as he came so close, and there goes Nathan, nearly really trying to extend the track to get around the outside that wasn't really there. So wisely backs off, but I think he's gonna try his luck heading down the start-finish straight. Maybe go for it down the inside, or no, the outside of turn one, as Skilla moves towards the inside to try to overtake Jerome. So Nathan just followed right suit on the toe of Jerome there. But a lot of fireworks here for not much movement on track. Now around the outside goes Nathan as they're side by side. He and Skilla. Skilla nearly losing the back end there on the exit, but keeps it under control and finds the grip with those soft tires to, by some way, shape, or form, keep Nathan behind. But now a nice little switchback move into that corner from Nathan, and now he does get ahead of Skilla, but only just. Skilla coming right back. They're still side by side. Is that going to be another switchback from Nathan here? It looked like he's trying, and now is able to find a little bit more traction on the exit here with the help of DRS, and does, well, now once again get ahead, but Skilla's just managing to keep a nose in there. But now Nathan finally does have the move done, but I think ideally for Nathan, he would have loved to get that done about 4 corners ago compared to where it actually got completed.
both used a lot of EOS as well in that battle. Nathan's down to like 15%, whereas like the guys ahead of him are on healthy EOS amount just about. So Nathan will have to save some EOS behind these guys then. Look at that, Jeroen's already pulling away with the EOS the EOS benefit. And look at that, Calvin's going to go back down the inside of Jamie 1 into turn 1. That's a Mercedes.
I think that's Assassin having, just maybe a bit of a reoccurring theme, a little bit too angsty on the acceleration on the exit of the corner. But yeah, Calvin, now we've got a great view riding on board with Eklund of Calvin, making the move done, heading down the inside and getting ahead of Jamie. And so a nice little move from Calvin there to retake second position with the help of DRS, and essentially not allow Jamie too much opportunity to fight back here, as those medium tires from the top 4 might start to be losing a tiny little bit of that peak performance compared to, let's say, compared to Calvin, who's on 10-lap-old hard tires now.
Yeah, I was about to say that, mate. You're right. Jeroen Visser on the fresher tyres out of the top 4. With Silla, Sassa's in the pit, so he's retired in the pit lane. No safety car will be needed. So Silla's tyres will start to come to an end now. I think that's the best of their performance. That's why Nathan has got past him rather early in the race. Nathan's all over the back of Jeroen Visser on those medium compound tyres. Nathan and Jeroen, same age tyres. So once it comes to like lap 20, lap 22, that's when you see these two start to make an impact on these guys ahead on the older tyres. Except Calvin, of course, because Calvin's on the harder compound tyre. As, look at, here comes Eklund then. James got DRS, and Eklund's going to make a move up into third place. Well, James sent it back down the inside. He'll try to, so that's the inside line. Eklund will have the inside line for the next corner.
Oh, and there went Nathan. Sorry, just in the process, as the move was having to get done, they were 2x2 into turn 1. Nathan, though, just losing the back end on the exit of turn 1, trying to get on the power, and goes for a spin. I think now gets back on track, but all the way down in T11 is Nathan.
Yeah, he left the session. He must be frustrated then, because after that spin, he just left straight away. So Nathan will not be winning this race, sadly for them. Both Alpines, 11th and 15th, have not gone their way whatsoever. So who's going to win this race? It would be Issa Kush. Calvin's probably out of the equation with that 3-second time penalty lurking over him. Jeroen Visser on the fresher tyres, can he get himself up into second place? All of those medium winners, the guys ahead on the mediums, older mediums, will start to fade away. That's when he'll start to power. Silla will have to pit soon on those soft compound tyres, because obviously they've gone past their peak performance, and he's staying in touch with the DRS. Once they get older, he'll start to drop away. Issa Kush then, 3.2 second gap, looking very, very comfortable at the front of the field there. Just needs to keep it nice and calm, does Isha, because when he finished last race, it was third place, so to do 2 places better by keeping it nice and clean. Good strategy from him. And Eklund then is on the back of Calvin. 4 tenths to get now on the straight. He's not using ERS because he don't want to use it. He knows he's got the closing speed on him. Goes down the inside into turn 1. Will Calvin fight hard? Good move from Eklund, but obviously Calvin has the switch back as Eklund went a bit deep. Goes around the outside. He goes off the track a bit, so that could be a warning. But here comes Eklund then. He'll have the inside line into turn 4. He'll outbreak himself again. Calvin goes around the outside. A bit of a squeeze from the 2. Contact's been made, but not much. Jamie Wann's trying to get involved as well. And Eklund has moved himself up into second place ahead of Calvin. Now Jamie Wann's trying to get past. Stop of oversteer from Jamie Wann. Drew Visser's going to go down the inside into turn 7 here. He goes side by side. Who gets a better exit? Probably Jerome with those mediums, but it's actually Jamie Wann who got better exit because he had a bit of oversteer. So Jamie Wann is back ahead of Jerome Visser for the time being. And yeah, look at you. I noticed Jerome Visser's like having a slap of oversteer cut out of this corner. He's not really enjoying the track here in terms of traction because he just really struggles. I've noticed it in qualifying and the race as well. So it's just the exits that's compromised him. And that's why Jamie Wann's got back ahead. Yeah. Good fighting from Calvin and Eklund though.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I mean this whole group of cars here, and I mean riding on board with Jerome Visser here. Once again, you saw that you went very wide, and I think it's once again what you're mentioning, just struggling with the traction, struggling. There's something I think going on with the setup for Jerome here, just not feeling comfortable on those corner exits because. We were seeing Jamie Wann being able to battle it out, those snap little bit of oversteers, and those slight little tenth or 2 of a second that you're losing out on essentially can make the difference between getting the overtake done and having a battle for an extra corner or 2, maybe losing it out. But here comes Jerome. Once again now, he's going to go down the inside. We're still on board with him here and see if he can make it work. And it looks like this time he does get the overtake done into on the exit of turn 4, or into turn 4 through the S's now, and well into P4 is Jerome, as now he gets to chase down Calvin and Eklund. But I wouldn't count Jamie Wann out of this just yet. But I'm still surprised as well seeing Skilla keeping with this group of cars, even albeit still on those 9-lap-old soft tires. I thought he would have started to fall off a little bit more than he has, but showing that he can really manage his tires here around Bahrain is Skilla.
Yeah, definitely. I was about to say that. I was really surprised to see him there still down in P6 on those softs. Maybe he'll come to the pit soon because I doubt he could take those tyres any longer. I would love to know the tyre wear on those soft compound tyres. If it was me, I'd probably spin off the track by now because I couldn't keep it on. So, yeah, Calvin's tucked in this time right behind Eklund. He's 3 tenths behind. If he gets a good exit cut out here, he should have the run down into turn 1. He's using his ERS now. He'll have DRS as well for extra help and support. And there he is then. He should make it easy to turn 1. Eklund defend hard. Will he should cover the inside line. Calvin goes down the inside into turn 1 now. They outbreak himself. No, they don't, but they make a little bit of contact. And Eklund goes wide. That allowed Giroux Visser, but Giroux Visser gets pushed off the track slightly. Has to come back on. Has a bit of gravel on his tyres. And that allowed Jamie Wall to come back at him. Now, will he go down the inside? Well, Giroux Visser trying to go down the inside of Eklund, but he runs out straight to do so. So, yeah, Giroux Visser stays in P4. Eklund loses position to Calvin. Oh, kicks off down here in the top, well, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, and 5th, and 6th, with Silla still there. I'm surprised Walter's not really caught this pack, you know, with these guys fighting really hard. Walter, 2.7 seconds behind on the 10-lap-old mediums. He's on the same tyres as Jerome, same age tyres of Jerome Visser. So, yeah, I'm really surprised he's not caught up with this field. I'm not sure what's going on because he's not really been invited anyone for the past few laps. So, he's usually got a good pace, has Walter, but for some reason it's just not showing at the moment, or unless he's got damage or something. Going on board with him now, it just looks cautious driving that car. At the moment, under Ferrari, Paolo Fiori is well down there. P8, he's fighting Tin Can. They're all 3 of them on the same age of tyres. Paolo Fiori versus Tin Can for P8. So we're back on the battle now for 2nd place. 8 tenths behind, so he's quite far behind Calvin this time. He might run out straight to try and close in. You can see Calvin trying to break the slipstream as Eklund's not really following him. He doesn't really need to because he knows he's not going to get the overtake done into turn 1. So, yeah, not really close enough to make a move, any of them. As Paolo Fiori's in the pits for his 2nd pit stop, he'll go on the soft compound tyres towards the end of the race. And that's what Skiller might have to look out for because Skiller has to pit again and obviously Fiore on a brand new set of softs will be rapid around here as well.
Yep, and I think that's a little bit of what we're gonna be seeing here is now Krishna going for an overtake, and essentially a loss alongside with what is the ghost of Ariel Nathan here, still not back in that car after disconnecting after that spin there, like you had caught and mentioned previously. But I think I'm just going to go back to Wouter quickly, just from where I was trying to get to at this point. I think Wouter may be playing this a little bit tactically, thinking that, hey, I can take these medium tires to the end of the race if I can just manage the wear ever so slightly. And if he compares it to the likes of, if I'm looking at this group from P2 all the way down, other than Jerome, everybody else ahead of him is probably going to have to take another pit stop, I would think. So I think Wouter may be playing that, like I was mentioning, playing that tactical game, not getting involved in the battles so he doesn't have to use up that extra tire life trying to fight what could very well be just a fruitless overtaking battle or a fruitless position exchange with what we've seen how powerful DRS is, or even with the DRS train that we're seeing. Maybe he's just comfortable trying to play it calm and hope that those ahead, the likes of Eklund, Jamian, Skill, he can just overtake them with the pit stops. But we'll have to see, because it almost looks like as the laps are winding down, that pit window for even those on those 16-lap old medium tires starts to close more and more. And of course, you'll hit a point where it's just really not worth it to take that pit stop and put on the set of softs.
I think I remember in a race now, I took those mediums about 20 laps and they were like 80%, so sort of 20, 22 laps maybe. I think it was the mediums anyway. I think you can take the mediums quite a long way if you look after them really carefully, so yeah, I think that's what you said about Walter. But saying that though, Skiller is still at DRS trade on the soft compound tyres, which are 12 laps old now, so yeah, it's still surprising. I think those mediums could, if we're seeing that for Priscilla, I definitely think those mediums can go to the end. Maybe Jamie Wan's, especially Jamie Wan's just got off the track, he'll have to rejoin and probably pick up a warning for exceeding the track limits. So yeah, looks like he's struggling a bit on those medium compound tyres. Issa Kush looking really comfortable down in P1. I think this is the time where Calvin has to start closing in now due to those hard compound tyres being a much better tyre at this stage of the race due to the mediums fading away. And Calvin's under big pressure from Eklund still, and Jeroen are behind, and Jimmy Wan and Silla. Wouter's not really catching, the gap's gone up to 3.4 now, so maybe Tyke is saving, or is actually struggling, I'm not quite sure yet. Where's Fiore? Fiore is right behind Krishna, so 10th place will be his. Should be easy with the difference in tyre age, difference in pace, and there we go then. Fiore moves himself up into 10th place. Next car ahead is Car Mentalist. 16 seconds ahead, so that could be a bit of a stretch to try and catch him, but he'll try anyways.
Yeah, Farrell's gonna need a couple and a couple more just true flying lap, qualifying pace type laps to try to close that gap up. So we'll keep an eye on it, but with less than 10 laps to go and almost nearly approaching 5 laps to go in this Grand Prix, I think P10 might be the plateau here. Although Carmentalist does have a penalty here. I think it's probably just about 3 seconds though. So still, even with that 3 seconds, it's a bit of a challenge here for Farrell to try to close that gap up. But we'll see what he can do with that fresh set of soft tires he has on. Given he's got the equipment he needs to really push that car, it's just a matter of if he has enough laps to truly get it done. But once again, back in this battle for P2, and was that nope, Calvin? I thought Calvin or somebody was gonna go for the pit stop, but I think, like I was mentioning, the more the laps are winding down here, and the more the drivers are just continuing, I think they're just gonna go to the end here and just hope for the best on the tires they have. I mean,
they have to.
At this point, yeah, they have to. I don't think they'll pit at the end of lap 24 and go 25, 26, whatever it is, 5 laps on a set of softs when you could have had the same result if you would have pit 2-3 laps ago and give yourself more time to catch up to the field.
A lap ago, I caught a glimpse of Walter, and it looks like he's struggling because he coming into the corner where Calvin Issa Kush is now at turn 10. He went off the track, so I think Walter is struggling Yeah, that's probably explains why he's dropped further back down the field.
That would it would make sense.
It was the last lap. It was the last lap. I caught a glimpse. It was the back in the background when I was on board with Skiller. Just saw Wild in the background just go off the track out of turn 10. In fact, I think Tin Can is catching him. He's 8/10. So if those two start to have a battle, chances are it might be over for Wild. But Skiller now, look at that. He's 1.7 seconds off. I think those tyres are definitely put to an end. He's got 5 laps to make it. 19 laps on the soft compound tyres is a mega achievement. He'll fall into the clutches of Wildset. It looks like he might have he's not having a punch, he just had a little bit of a moment. Javu Visser, interestingly, is in the pit lane. I don't know why he's done that, because there's only 4 laps to go. I don't know why he's done that. He's on the soft compound tyres. He should have stayed there, because his tyres are better than the top 4. Fresher tyres. So I'm not quite sure why he's done that. He's just cost himself a lot of positions there, down in P9 behind Car Mentalist. Where will he rejoin? Will he rejoin behind Foul Fury? Will Foul Fury get him? He's a bit too far back.
Gonna be close as they're heading down, and I think Jerome is just going to. I think he's just gonna get that position on Feral Fury.
Are you surprised? Because look at that, Jerome Versus 12 seconds behind Car Mentalist. I think he'll catch him with the pace he has, but 4 laps to go. He could have got a podium because Calvin's got a 3-second time penalty. He could have got like 3rd place or something. So I'm not quite sure why he's pitted, unless he has issues we don't know about. We can't always judge.
Well, that's
we know Jimmy's smart enough to not make the decisions unless he's got a problem with the tyres or something. We just have no clue about. But yeah, Tin Can right behind Wouter now. The gap between Wouter and Skiller is 2.6. He's gained a second on our lap. They're both catching Skiller. Skiller, the gap has increased to 3.3. So he's definitely coming to an end. He can feel those tyres now start to drop off as they continue blistering. With the oh god, I don't know if he's going to make it to the end. If he does 19 laps on those softs. Look at that, the way he slides into the corners, the way he gets on the throttle, just the soft tyres look like they could get a punch at any moment. I believe he'll get a punch at. There's no way you could take those tyres for like 19 laps on the softs. Mediums, I thought would be a stretch, but softs, there's no way. Tin Can has made a move on Wouter now, so up into 6th place. He'll get 5th place, but likely with the drop-off pace of Silla.
And Eklund is now thought about going down the outside of Calvin there. Put that car alongside, but just I think Calvin with those hard tires. I think Calvin's a little bit happy in this stage of the race that he went for the hard tires, and Eklund maybe wishing he had put on a set of hard tires. So I think just even with the mediums at 20 laps old. Not to the point of where Skilla is at with those 16-lap-old softs, but I think Eklund is really starting to feel it a little bit more on those mediums, especially when he has to try to trust the car with those moves down the outside around the corners. I think just the confidence isn't as much there as it was a couple laps ago when we were seeing Eklund really put that car in there, trust the grip for the side-by-side. And I think for him, Jamie, as well, I don't think that grip is there anymore. And I think Eklund maybe just playing the tactical game, knowing that Calvin has that penalty that's going to be added on to his time.
Exactly, and they caught up rather quickly as Tin Can and Wilder. So Tin Can should have a much better exit. Oh, he's got a punch. Is that a puncher?
Oh, I noticed that a little bit. Yeah, very quickly diving into the pits now is Skilla. And that is a puncture. That's on the rear left tire for Skilla was that puncture. So luckily, almost made it, but I think we just found the peak of where you can take the soft tires here. 17 laps.
Luckily, he was at the last corner, so we didn't have to do a whole lap. Imagine if he had a punch on the straight, have to do a whole lap on a discarded tire. So luckily, it didn't happen for him, and no contact for Tin Can because he could just spun out. And probably made contact with Tin Can as all over the back of him. So luckily that did not happen. So yeah, it looks like Jamie won and Eklund will have a podium because of that 3-second time penalty sadly lurking over Calvin. Calvin started to catch Isha, but obviously it won't be enough because they're coming to 2 laps towards the end of the race. So what would Eklund do then? Will he fight Calvin just because he's a racer, or would he stay behind and keep an eye on Jamie 1? That's his main target so far in the race. But yeah, Eklund's done a very good job in this race in the AlphaTauri. So is Jamie 1.
Yeah, and I think realistically, I think Eklund's maybe focusing a bit more on just trying to keep Jamie in behind. You can see the gap now is starting to fall ever so slightly, to about just a full second compared to where it was about 6/10, 5/10, about a lap or two ago. Um, um, and yeah, you can see that just inside DRS range now is Eklund, but I think Calvin's starting to have a little bit more pace. And being 2 laps to go, he wants to keep that within a second, but focusing more, I think, on the bigger picture of keeping Jamie in behind, who's in fourth, and they both, in theory, should be bumped up a position with that 3-second penalty from Calvin, like you were mentioning. And yeah, they are closing up to Izad Kush, but I think unless a big mistake from our race leader happens, I think it might just be too little too late, albeit 2 seconds now. Calvin, I'm not too worried about. It's more if Eklund and Jamian, if they're able to catch up with the group that essentially Calvin is bringing and start battling with these at Kush, that's where things I think can get really interesting here. Ooh. for that podium.
Also, I think that yeah, Eklund's dropped out of the 1 second range of DRS, so best result for him could be might have to be third, sorry, because Jamie will move up to second. But Jamie has more ERS compared to Eklund, and Eklund's outside the 1 second range of DRS. So Jamie's last lap, will he try and get second place? He's just exceeded track limits there, so has to be careful not to do that again, depending on how many warnings he's got. So we're coming on to the last lap for Isa Kush. Isa Kush, who's done a fantastic job. He finished second in Baku. He's going to go 1 place better, but we're focused on the battle between Jamie and Eklund now. As you can see, Jamie using the ERS now. They're both derating, and here comes Jamie then. Goes down the inside before turn 1. Can he make the move? Eklund breaks late though. We try and hang around the outside. No, we try and get a better exit out of turn 1. Stuck it behind the Slipstream DRS. Let's see if he can try and get it back up the hill towards turn 4. And no, Jamie has it covered for the time being. So his best result will be second place for all Jamie wants. That's a good move from him. Good tactic to stay behind. Yeah, that loss of DRS probably what's caused Eklund to be down there in 4th place, because obviously those hard compound tyres now are much better than the mediums. As you can see, Calvin's 1.2 seconds behind it, well better anyway. So Isa Kushten in 1st place, done a fantastic job. Right strategy, and yeah, just led this race ever since.
Yep, and I think at this point, as he's heading down the back straight, he's hoping to see the finish line sooner rather than later. Only has about a sector and a little bit to go. Calvin really is doing a great job closing up that gap. Those hard tires really kicked into that extra gear compared to the mediums. Just unfortunately for Calvin, that 3-second time penalty that he has to his name is essentially the make or break.
Look at the gap, 2.1 behind, 2.9 towards Eklund. He needs to have a really good exit quit out here. That DRS will also help. If he gets a good exit, he might get a podium. Let's see now as he comes out of the final corner. Eklund will win the race, but will Calvin get a podium?
No, he just missed it out by 6/100ths of a second. Is Calvin miss out on the podium? So it is Izad Kush who takes the victory here in Bahrain, and in dominating fashion, if I'm going to be honest here. Jamian up in P2, so fantastic race from Jamian. And I know he's somebody I've mentioned week in, week out, that he can have these types of races where he's just a force to be reckoned with, and that's exactly what we saw here today. And Eklund, it was close. Nearly had that P2 in the bag, but I think at the end of the day, it just came down to tire management between he and Jamian for 2nd and 3rd. But he does hang on just enough for that podium. Calvin, meanwhile, those 3-second penalties, they can really bite you in the butt sometimes.
Indeed. Oh, that's a shame for Calvin. He just pulled the pace out of the bag. Not enough though. 600ths. He needed more to try and get that podium, but yeah, I thought he could get it. I just looked at the gap between Calvin, Jamian and Isa Kush, and it's just increasing corner after corner. But sadly he didn't get it. But good job on the top 3. Isa Kush, 1 step better than Baku. Jamie won, finishing on the podium. That's a really good drive from him, because he finished in 11th place in Baku, so he'll be really happy with that result. And Eklund as well in the AlphaTauri, he's done a fantastic job as well.
Yep, so it was a great race there. I mean, to the podium. Enjoy the champagne. Definitely, definitely well deserved. I mean, especially with when you're looking at Jamie and Eklund. I mean, not to take away anything from Isat Kush's drive, but I mean, as far as I was concerned, I couldn't take my camera off of that battle from P2 all the way down between Jamie and Eklund, Calvin, Tin Can was involved, Jerome, just that whole battle going on. That was just a sight to behold here for the entirety of the race. But I mean,
Quick maths.
yeah.
I've done some quick maths here. Looked at the championship. So Issa Kush will overtake our mentalist, and he reduces the gap between himself and Walter. The gap will be 37 points between Walter and Issa Kush. So things are looking Issa Kush's way, and Walter. 2 races in a row now, he's not had the best of results, but let's see if he can bounce back, because he always does. So Issa Kush then gaining quite a lot of points on Walter, and the championship 5 could be close between Issa Kush and Walter. Car Mentalist drops down. Silla, did he score any points? No, yeah, I think he did, so he might close in on Car Mentalist or possibly overtake it. So both Aston Martins there looking really good.
Yeah, but there we go. But I think on that note, I think I mean I might just end the stream off over here. It was I mean a fantastic race. I still can't get over how good of a race that was. I mean, Jamie, I hope you enjoyed the action as much as I did here, and even those watching at home, I hope you all enjoyed the action as much as I did. But before I round things off, Jamie, any last well, I wouldn't say any last words, but not quite where I'm trying to go with that, but anything that that you want to bring up, that you want to mention before we round off the stream here today.
Yes, thank you for bringing me for the 3rd time. This is my 3rd race witnessing more ISRL action. So yeah, thank you very much for bringing me in again. I appreciate it.
No problem. Happy to have you here in the booth. Thank you for coming out and keeping me company once again here in the commentators booth. But like I mentioned, it's going to do it here for the stream here today. It's Canadian Thanksgiving, and I got a dinner to get to, so I'm gonna try to make things quick. Of course. It's the end of the week this week, but we will be back with tons more racing action next Sunday. Of course, Division 3, Division 4, Division 2, and Division 1, as we all take to Circuit of the Americas for the U.S. Grand Prix. You're not going to want to miss that. It's going to be a fantastic event. Of course, got to thank the partners: Advanced Sim Racing, IMB Raceware, IFEA, Jackson Protection Agency. Thank you for your support in what we do, and of course, thank you to the fans. This is why we do what we do for you guys, so thank you so much for all of your support. But on behalf of Jamie, myself, and everybody here at ISRL Esports, I want to say thank you so much for watching, and have yourselves a fantastic day.